Hey, rock and roll fans, this is Vinnie Dombroski from the band Sponge, and you are listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Antid, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Vinnie Dombroski from Sponge.
Yeah, promoting Sponge's latest release, LP, Planet Girls, on Sound City Records.
Yeah, it was a special record store day release, a lost album from, I think, 1998 that got shelved.
That's correct. Great interview. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Vinny, welcome back to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to reintroduce to you my co-host, Jeff Antid.
Vinny, great to talk to you again.
You sounded good, Jeff.
Fantastic. Well, let's get right into this. This past April, Sponge released the album Planet Girls on Sound City Records. The story behind the album is extremely interesting for our fans. So can you talk a little bit more about the story behind Planet Girls?
Well, I think if it wasn't for Jason Hartless, who is part of the Sound City record company and also was playing drums with Ted Nugent and filled in on drums with Sponge for a while. If it wasn't for Jason talking about this or suggesting that we investigate what we could release, this would have never happened. And what we ended up accumulating were a group of songs from the pre-New Pop Sunday. So we literally made our third album twice.
Yeah.
And, right, you go, well, who would want to pay a band to make the record twice? But literally the first time we made it was back in, I would think it was like 97, 98.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on Columbia Records at the time. And they basically wanted us to go in, the label wanted us to go in with a new A&R person. We had been using Pablo Matheson for our first two albums and used a different producer. And we had been using, of course, Tim Paddlin, who still plays in the band, as producer on our first two records. And so we had to put together an entire new team to make this third record. And that team consisted of the legendary A&R guy, John Kolodner.
Mm-hmm.
And are you guys like hip to who Kolodner is?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these guys that have worked with some of the biggest rock bands on the planet. And typically when somebody has an A&R credit, it's like so-and-so A&R. When it comes to John Kolodner's like gift was so unique it was basically he's given credits like John Kolodner. It's not even A&R, man. It's like this special sauce, this special magic. So we're working with this heavyweight A&R guy and Kevin Shirley, who has produced some of the, killer rock records. This guy has worked with Aerosmith and, just the mega bands. So, we sat in and did pre-production and wrote and made this record that when we finally turned it into Columbia, we were working in an environment that we weren't used to, and then we thought we'd give it a try and made a record that we were hoping that the label liked, but it's not like we were crazy about it. And the label didn't like it either. So I guess we lost in two different ways. The label didn't like it, the band didn't like it, and that was about it. And at that point, the label said to us, well, we're not going to release this thing. You guys can take those masters with you and release it on another label, or we're going to go back and make a whole nother record and use like these types of people that write songs with bands, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We've always just written our own songs. So we were like, nah, I guess we're just going to take it someplace else and maybe we'll, rebuild it. And that's what we did.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting because you were talking about how they actually let you take the masters. That was one of my questions was going to be, was it something where they were holding on to them and that was what led to taking so long to get some of this back to some of the songs? Or because you hear about that with bands all the time that I'm always surprised that they just hold on to those masters and don't let you have them.
Well, yeah, that's the idea. But like the label that was beyond, they were the label that finally released our third album, but basically we rebuilt that record, and what was released as New Pop Sunday was a whole different record. We recut things, we may have even replayed them, we recut the songs, remixed them, and the Planet Girl record that is out currently were some of those early sessions that we had done with Kevin Shirley and John Kolodner. So they're two different animals, it's two different records, completely different records. And listening back over all these years, I was pretty impressed by the way things sounded. But then in retrospect, I go, yeah, I understand why we didn't, release that at the time. Because it's a really different sound as Sponge record. It's definitely a poppier record. It was a time when bands were becoming way more harder edged. Radio was way more harder edged, and it was a bad time to release a pop record.
Mm. Well, you've alluded to working with Kevin Shirley, the caveman that they call him. But we've heard many different stories about Kevin Shirley, about the genius behind him. Can you go into a little bit more detail what it was like, I guess, working behind the scenes with Kevin at back in 97, 98?
This guy was getting up fantastic tones. He really let the band take the lead on things. He was certainly always there picking out the certain takes for stuff, but I credit him really for allowing and trusting the band to go in there and be the best they could be. And tonally, however, that record started out a lot cleaner. Sponge to me was like more dirgy, and more where the guitars were almost burying the vocals at times, and it was kind of a dirgier thing. And Kevin's style of doing things was really just letting the simple tones of the band kind of shine through and making those tones work. So, again, we go from this dirgy, darker thing to something that was, it's definitely more polished sounding, I suppose, something like that. But, he trusted us and he gave us the freedom to just the band just kind of would go in a room and play, and that's what we did. And it wasn't like it certainly was not overproduced.
Yeah, very good. Well, Planet Girls was released to coincide with National Record Store Day. Can you talk a little bit more about the ideology of releasing Planet Girls on National Record Store Day? Because I've seen many times where, hey, bands decide to release an album on National Record Store Day, and they sell out, and others, they don't fare so well. Talk a little bit more about the ideology behind it, and were you satisfied with the sales of the album during National Record Store Day?
They were sold immediately. Like everything that was printed was sold, and even basically the stores bought them all. And Jason Hartless was really passionate about the idea that this kind of lost record, if you will, would be of interest to the Sponge fans, and he was right on the money with the thing. I think it was a great idea, and I think that it was a great effort at the time, and I certainly think it's way worth having been released. So I think it was just a great idea all the way around, and people were interested in it. Fans were interested in it. Yeah,
you can't be more satisfied with an album that sells out on Record Store Day. So, are there any plans to do something else to commemorate the album, or are you just going to release, more copies of it as time goes on? How's it going to work?
Well, from what I've been told, there may be some copies that had to be held back that could not even be sold in addition to what was released in stores. Somebody told me there was a 6-month wait time to release any additional copies. So, we may end up having some additional copies to sell at shows or things like that. But I know it was released digitally as well, and we have that going on. But it's kind of a big year for the band. We had mentioned before we started the interview that we got this tour coming up, and we got a lot of really exciting news in the Sponge world regarding the releases that we got going on. We got this covers record that Cleopatra asked us to put together that we had been working on for over a year. That's finally done, and this thing sounds fantastic. And of course, I'm not one of those guys that want to do cover songs, but we were talked into it, and it turned out fantastic.
Oh, awesome! It piqued my interest. So
there you go.
I can't wait to hear more about that.
Go ahead, Jeff. You got the next one?
Let's talk about some of the songs that that didn't make the cut from the transition to Planet Girls to New Pop Sunday. There were 6 tracks when I was looking at that. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about a couple of those songs, or is there a story into one of those?
Yeah, well, when I think of songs like "Let's Get Together Now,"
yeah, I like that one.
It's a jam. I'm not we cut many songs for the album, and several didn't get picked, and that could have been an A&R call at the time. When you're dealing with a producer, an A&R person in the band, it's like this trifecta of sorts. Everybody's got to be on board with these decisions. So maybe it was something that Kevin Shirley and John Collider didn't want. I don't know. I really don't know, but I thought that. The track sounds rockin'. I think there's a song called "Is Anybody Feeling Down?" Maybe that's on there too. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking if I got that title right. I'm trying to think, man. It's been a long time, but that may be another one that really turned out killer that never made the New Pop Sunday record. So, but it's great to listen to the things with fresh ears, and I think they were recorded great, and I think the Sponge fans will dig them.
Yeah. So cool. Well, Sponge will be on tour in July. The touring schedule will be very aggressive for the month of July. How much of the tour's set list will include the new tracks from the Planet Girls?
Good question. It's like we haven't even played the Planet Girls song in many years.
Yeah.
That was a wild tune for the band live. We would always bring up a lot of young ladies to the stage and dance and sing along with us. So we'd love to at least do that track. I think there's a version of Lackluster Love that we would love to play live that we have played live over the years. So that could happen.
Well, very good.
Yeah, I know the tour starts off in Texas. You got several dates in Texas, and then you got a couple dates in Illinois. What else are you looking forward to on this upcoming tour?
Oh man, we're doing some great rooms. We're doing the Machine Shop in Flint. Really looking forward to that show. Going to the Machine Shop. That's like one of those great rock and roll rooms. I mean, we're making our way all the way east to New Jersey, where the tour is going to stop at just a killer rock bar called Dingbats. I have no idea how we're going to get all the bands in Dingbats, but that's going to be. I'm just looking forward to seeing how we're going to make that work.
Yeah. Well, I think on the bill you're also playing with Powerman 5000 and Tantric. Can you talk a little bit about? Have you toured with any of those guys before?
Yeah, I've done a ton of shows with Tantric. You know, we may have been on some shows with Powerman back in the day, but yeah, I mean, we've done shows with Tantric probably in the last couple of months, but we've done a ton of shows with those guys. Looking forward to seeing them. And there's a band on called, I think the first band on is Closure, and I don't know too much about them, but the 4-band package is pretty cool.
It is so cool. We talk about this with our guests all the time about when they're out on tour. Do you have a special room or facility that the band plays at where it just seems like it's electric place for you guys to play? Is there that certain facility out there for Sponge?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, the Machine Shop for sure. Like Kevin Zink, the owner over there, really just treats us so good, you know? And, I mean, the Lava Cantina, we're out there in just a couple of weeks, and not even a couple of weeks. That's always a cool room to play. The Rail, that's a great place. Come and Take It. I think we played out there before. But yeah, the Texas shows, man, we don't often get down there, but it seems like the crowds are just killer. But yeah, there's just a ton of dates. But that Dingbats date, man, do you guys know anything about Dingbats?
I've heard of the room before, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun show. It's going to be fun because it's almost going to feel like playing, you know, like CBGB's back in the day, you know, with just jam stinking packed, and you go, this is, you know, you can't fit any more bands in here, you can't fit any more people in here kind of gig, you know, one of those sweaty rock and roll rooms where you just walk out of there beaten down, exhausted, but feeling like $1 million.
Oh, so cool.
Nice.
Well, Sponge will be offering a generous VIP upgrade for fans. The VIP package includes a meet and greet, photo op, souvenir VIP laminate, a T-shirt, signed tour poster, and a private signing session. And that's a lot to offer your fans. Talk a little bit more about the this ambitious VIP package that the band is offering their fans.
Yeah, you guys make it sound so good. I think we should charge more. But we just started doing these things. You know, all of a sudden, our agent, Chuck Bernal, out of Artists Worldwide, he's like, he introduced us to this the VIP company, and we just started doing this kind of thing over the last couple of months. So, yeah, it's cool. You know, we can sit with the fans for a minute right after sound check typically and hang out, chit-chat, and sign some stuff and take some pictures. And they walk away having met the band, and they get a sweet T-shirt and a autograph poster. It's kind of cool, you know.
Well, I must say that your VIP package is much more ambitious than a lot of bands out there. I guess talk about the you and the rest of the band's generosity in this VIP package.
Again, maybe we're too generous. I gotta rethink this. What are the other bands doing, I wonder? What do they do? Like they find a bar napkin and sign the bar napkin and charge $100?
It just seems like it's you know, you're offering a lot for a good price, and it's, you know, these days times are tough for a lot of people, and you guys are really going out on a limb and offering a lot for your fans, and we tip our hats to you guys for sure.
Well, I think that's half the battle. When I think about what a concert ticket costs these days, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I go, well, people are paying it, Yeah, and if they want to pay it, I go, well, okay, and they got the money to pay it. That's cool, but it's still, I went to a Detroit Tigers baseball game last night, and I spent $200 before I, could blink an eye.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the parking. And I just go, wow, that's crazy, man. So, of course, we're going to do more for the fans than we possibly can do for a VIP thing because, $85, that's a lot of money. Plus, that doesn't cover the concert ticket, though.
Exactly. Well, I wanted to go back to the Sponge archive of music. With the Planet Girls being released, obviously this was on the shelf for a long time, and obviously you guys have music that has been unreleased. So as far as the archive goes for Sponge music, is there a lot of archived material out there that you guys could release albums or another album or albums down the road of unreleased material?
Well, that's something we've been working on since about December because the archives, meaning like actual 2-inch reels of tape. We did a lot of recording on 1-inch 24-track reels that what you have to do with these things, you guys probably heard of this. When you have old tapes, they accumulate moisture. They're not stored correctly. So in order to play them on a tape machine, hopefully once, and run it into a digital Pro Tools session, you got to bake these tapes. So we probably spent about 2 weeks baking tapes. And these tapes have to be baked for about 8 hours at a constant temperature when you get them there, and then you got to cool them down. So each reel of tape takes about 8 hours. So we probably spent, 2 weeks baking tapes and finally digitized everything. And we found we found 6 multi-track tunes that were completely unreleased. Which is really exciting. We found some old B-side stuff that we ended up remixing, recutting a bunch of vocals or guitars, just cool stuff, So we're working on that right now. We got a record that we're putting together that includes all that stuff and 2 brand new songs as well. So,
awesome.
We want to get that out this year too. And then by the end of this year, top of next year, we're going to start putting together an entire brand new album. So we got some really cool things coming up that we're excited about getting out to the fans and it's just not bullshit, it's just not some kind of crappy, old cassette recordings of rehearsals or anything like that, which some people love, but I go, this is some great stuff that we've been working hard on to put together, and I think people are going to enjoy it when they finally get their hands on it. So stay tuned.
Oh, we're excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Hey, I'm going to take it back a little bit. When we had you on last time, I think we talked about some of your various side projects and stuff that you've been on. I think we talked to you back in like January of 23, and I saw Diamondback was one of the bands that one of the I think outlaw country bands that you do on the side that you had an album, House of Weird Smells, that came out late in 23. Can you talk a little bit about that album?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for asking about it because the Diamondback stuff is just a labor of love. There's 2 records. There's one Diamondback record is South Detroit Honky Tonks and Other UFOs, and then the House of Weird Smells album. And these are songs like when I think about some of the country music writers that I think are just outstanding. I think of Chris Christopherson, Shel Silverstein, John Prine, these kind of people. And I'm always just inspired by the way they write. And, of course, I'm not of that caliber, but I like to try to reach beyond what I'm capable of reaching for sometimes. And that's why you have these albums like House of Weird Smells, which, it could reek of John Prine or Shel Silverstein, but you know what? I love both of those guys, and I just go, if I can spend my time writing crazy-ass songs and just having a lot of fun with it, that's what I do. And I got a whole nother record that I could put out right now with those same kind of songs. It's just a lot of fun for me.
Oh, so
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
On an artistry level, you're one of the artists that can cross genres. You can go very heavy to folky to country, And there's not a whole lot of artists that can do that, or that can do that the way that you do it, and on such a high level. Can you talk a little bit more about your ability to write song for different genre? And it seems like it comes so easy to you.
Well, I'm just confused. That's all it is. My confusion level is pretty high. But there's some folks that do that. You know who I've noticed that does a real good job at that is Shooter Jennings, Waylon Jennings' son. Shooter's done some stuff with I know he's made a record with Marilyn Manson. He's worked with Brandy Carlisle and Tanya Tucker. Yeah. But he's also put out his kind of I don't know how to describe some of the rock records he's done. Is it industrial? I can't even describe it really. But he kind of does something very similar, which I think is pretty cool. So there's more than just me out there that can wrangle that kind of thing, which I'm happy about.
Very good. Well, the last time we spoke to you, we were discussing the promotion of the Lucid. I guess the thing that stirs my fancy here is, when are we going to get more Lucid material out there? Because I love that material that you guys released here, about a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Oh, man, thank you. Yeah, what a lot of fun working on all that stuff. Really, it's just a great group of guys, and Mike Haller produced the stuff, and he did a fabulous job. But more music, I got to tell you, I don't know. I really don't know. It's all just a matter of time. And to be quite frank with you, between everything we got going on with Sponge right now, the tour and more albums that we're working on, I'm not sure when that would be. But you know what? For the short time that we had together, we put out a lot of music, and we've done a lot of cool things, not only within the Lucid band, but we've reached out to Violent J, and Violent J has done some things with us that have been outstanding. So that's just icing on the cake, Oh,
it's been so cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead.
Well, I know you've been pretty busy with Sponge, and we talked about some of your side projects there. What's a hobby for Vinnie outside of music? Do you have any, or do you not have time for outside hobbies?
Well, I need hobbies, because unfortunately, I just go to the corner bar, And there was a doctor told me one time, he goes, "You got to stop this shit. You need a hobby. You need something to do, like golf or whatever." So, my thing is one of my favorite poets is Jim Harrison, and of course I've read articles about Jim Harrison. Yeah, I think he's a Michigan guy, but he's always you know what? Gets done writing, no more than 3 glasses of vodka, because it dims the senses, So I try to stick to that, you know what I mean? But that's kind of my hobby, unfortunately. I love to sit and write, have a great writing session, and then go have a couple of drinks and stuff like that. But as I get older, it's just that, I can't handle it anymore. It doesn't do me any good, so I just need it. If you guys got any suggestions, like a motorcycle, bowling, I don't know.
How about a podcast?
Yeah, man. Right, we could sit around and talk about the hobbies that we need.
Exactly. All right, I got one last question for you, then we'll leave you alone for the evening. So, I know this might be an easy question for you to answer or a difficult question. So, in this part of your career, you're a songwriter, you're a musician, you're also a producer, you've also done production work. So, on this part of your career, what is first? Are you the songwriter first, or the musician first, or the musician second, producer? Where does it all fall in line for you now in this part of your career?
You know what, to be quite frank with you, that is a great question. To be quite honest with you, I've always just thought of myself as a songwriter. I'm not a great musician. I'm not a great producer. I think the best thing I can do, I like to play instruments. I think I'm fairly okay at playing instruments, but I only play as much that I need to write. And the only reason I've done anything that I've ever done is not any kind of amazing musical or vocal talent. I write. And if I'm going to continue doing anything, that's what I do. First and foremost, I would simply answer that as writer.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Well, I did mention about that the New Sponge album that we would like to put together after the first of the year. And it's probably going to be a crowd-funded thing. It may be a live studio audience in the studio kind of thing, so stay tuned for that. When we start ramping that up, man, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, we're so excited.
Yeah.
Well, this is how things are going to work out once Jeff, the editing ninja over here that cleans up all of our boogers, will get this thing out and it'll sound like $1 million. Deal?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you so much, Vinny.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Well, always good to talk to you guys, and thanks for the great questions. I appreciate it.
Hey, that's been fantastic. We'll talk to you in about 2.5 weeks. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If they ever take from you, then you plug out both their eyes. They roll the dice. Take your chances.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.